Hello, everyone. I think you guys are muted. I think a couple people are logging on here. Hello, everyone. I'm going to start. I'm just saying hello. Hi. The camera is not going to be on me the whole time, but I just wanted to say hello to you guys. It's weird to have you guys on mute. Let me see if I can figure out how to unmute people because there's only a couple people on right now. There we go. Maybe it won't happen. I don't know. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Anne. So good to see you.
Yeah, good to hear you. I don't see you, but that's okay. And maybe, okay.
Oh, let you see me here a minute.
Oh, there we go. Hi. I know it is so good to see faces, fun to see faces every once in a while. Yeah. All right. So we're going to get started. So really, with this Zoom call, you know, Dr. Connors obviously does his Wednesday Zoom call, and you know, as we get busier and there's more emails, we just kind of decided, okay, let's add another Monday Zoom call, kind of the same style, Q&A style, to get more questions answered. And certainly, you know, I want this to be really for you guys. So it's really whatever format you guys want. If you like the Q&A style, we certainly can do that. You guys can send in questions and then we can just get those answered. Okay. And then, or if you guys want to just do, you know, a topic, I certainly can just pick topic, or you guys can submit topics that you're curious about and that you want me to review. That would be fine as well. So open to suggestions for this, but this will be kind of a recurring Monday call. And, you know, as we kind of get the word out, I'm assuming that more people will log in. And, you know, with our new patients starting, you know, kind of we'll have more people on this. So, but anyways, for those of you that are on, I do know you guys, so you are familiar with me, but my name is Anne. And I'm gonna turn my video off now and I'm gonna share my screen because we'll kind of walk through the keynote that I have set up here. So I'm gonna share the screen. Okay. And let's see. I'll get this figured out and soon it will be seamless. But right now, I think maybe you guys are muted again, or I don't know. If you can mute yourself, feel free. If there's not a lot of background noise, there's not a lot of people on here. So, oh. Okay. So we just admitted another person. Okay. So here we go. And everything is recording. So we are going to record these. They will be posted in the membership site in the Zoom recording. So you guys can refer to this. So welcome everyone. The first Monday Q&A Zoom call with Anne. So I know I'm not Dr. Connors. So I hope people, you know, aren't too disappointed that it's not Dr. Connors doing another Zoom call, but that's all right. So
We're glad you're here, Anne.
yeah, and some questions people might prefer to have Dr. Connors answer, and that's just fine. So I'm going to switch to my screen here. I'm just going to do kind of a brief introduction. So this is my family here. I've been working with Dr. Connors and Four Connors Clinic for about 5 years now. And this is my lovely little family. I've got 3 kids, obviously a husband. My oldest one here, Riley, actually works for the clinic as well. So he's in the shipping department, and he may have helped you guys with Rife troubleshooting. He is going to be starting to do more of that. So some Rife training, some Rife troubleshooting. And then my daughter, she lives well, she's actually home for the summer. She goes to Duluth. And then my youngest one just graduated from high school a year ago already. So he's working. And then our cute little dog here, Jovi, she's 13. So, and then I wanted to also just mention that this is kind of going to be the new weekly lineup for the Zoom calls. So we'll have, oh, and I see a typo. Well, Monday, I didn't list Monday. So Mondays, we'll have this one at noon. Tuesdays, we're going to have a binder review one. Wednesday will be the regular Dr. Connors. Thursday will be Rife training in the morning. And then we have the genetic review information. So really the Q&A ones for Monday and the Wednesday Q&A with Dr. Connors are the ones that you guys can kind of frequently come to with questions. The binder review, Rife training, genetic review, we're kind of going to reserve those for patients who have not already gone through a binder review or Rife training, genetic review, etc. So if you haven't done one of these yet, you know, you can log in at any one of these times. You can screenshot this so you know when these are offered. So if you haven't done a binder review yet or a genetic review is a little different. We need to have your report back actually, and we need to go through the data before we can really do the genetic review where the information will be good for you to look at. You know, it'll make sense once you have your report. Okay, and then just the reminder, I know Dr. Connors does this all the time, the reminder that this is where you kind of submit your questions. So for the Monday Zoom call as well, just go to the membership site. On almost every page, I think there's a submit a question button. So just hit that. It's going to bring this little box up where you can submit your questions, and then I'll go through that for the Monday calls and I will answer those. And then of course, Dr. Connors will be going through them as well for the Wednesday call. All right, I think that kind of takes us through some of these housekeeping things. So we'll get to the questions. So we had a question come in. I hope you're doing well. Quick question about the addition of fenbendazole to my protocol. Does this mean that Dr. Connors is thinking that parasites are now involved? So we'll answer this one first. So no, not necessarily, unless it is labeled as parasites having come up in testing and then the balancer is the fenbendazole, then yes, that would mean parasites have come up. If fenbendazole is just listed as a cancer balancer, it simply means that that was testing as the appropriate or one of the appropriate cancer balancers for your body at this time. So most likely he's asked you to kind of mix this into a daily smoothie, given you kind of the dosing instructions. So no, it does not mean that you have parasites at this time. I also had a question about what to expect following a submission of lab or test results. So this person submitted lab results to labs@connorsclinic.com, which is the appropriate way to submit your labs and test results. So this is an email address that we have staff just going in, getting those emails, those lab reports, and then uploading them into your file so we have access to them. So they did that. And she said, one of the recommendations for my thermography was to take a look at CMP numbers for my kidneys, I believe. So she did that test and she submitted the results a while back. Is it a good assumption that Dr. Connors looks at those test results and will take the initiative to reach out if more discussion is necessary? Or do I need to call and request an appointment even if everything looks okay to me, just in case things do not look okay to Dr. Connors? So that's a great question. So when you're submitting your results to labs@connorsclinic.com, Dr. Connors is not necessarily looking at them. So it is up to you. If you want to have him look at those and you have questions, you want him to go through those with you, you do need to call and schedule an appointment. Now, if everything is within normal range, which it looks like, or it seems like for this person, everything was within normal range, then, you know, you don't need to have that appointment with him, because if everything is within normal range, then there's not really anything that needs to be addressed. Certainly you could schedule with him if you just want to have an appointment to just kind of check in and, you know, make note that labs are normal. That's fine, but you don't need to. So yes, so ultimately we're not monitoring that unless you have asked us specifically to look at those and scheduled a consultation to go over those results with Dr. Connors, but that's a really good question. All right, Bob is wanting to keep using DMSO topically and internally, but needs an expert to help with dosing it. Would Dr. Connors be able to recommend dosing for DMSO? So DMSO is something that we do use here in the clinic. Typically, we are using it topically. So we have a zinc DMSO spray that we use topically and we test patients on, you know, and then we do have a cream that we make that uses some DMSO for, you know, a skin cancer or rash or something like that. So I don't believe in the 5 years that I've worked here, we've ever had patients taking DMSO internally. So I don't know that Dr. Connors would be able to provide an internal dose. You know, DMSO can be great for pain, great for inflammation. What it's used for is to drive things into the tissue or into cells. So we use it for that purpose. We use it topically to kind of help drive ingredients in to the skin. So if there is a tumor that's close to the skin, or like I said, if it's skin cancer, then we're using it for those medicinal purposes. Taking it internally, you know, I just did a search for internal, you know, DMSO use. You know, I couldn't really find anything that suggested harm or anything like that, but I just don't know that Dr. Connors would be able to dose for it. Certainly I can ask him, he's on vacation this week, so I can ask him when he gets back. But like I said, we haven't really used it internally, so I'm not quite sure about that.
While you're talking about that, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
I was reading that DMSO and frankincense together, like at the base of the skull, and Bob's situation with his glioblastoma would be very effective.
Yeah.
Is that something you could maybe check with Dr. Connors about? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, and for topically, certainly he can do that. I don't even need to check with Dr. Connors on that one. So he can absolutely do that. You know, using it with frankincense to kind of drive that frankincense, you know, into that area is absolutely fine. You know, he can do that.
The fact that he's on some prescription meds, he's concerned because I know the DMSO increases the absorption, I guess, of certain prescription meds, and he's on the Decadron too, and the Keppra, especially those two. Would that be a problem with those meds, or do you know how much he should start with, and should he gradually build up to a certain amount? He
would have to refer back to, you know, the doctor. I can't tell you if anything is going to interact with a medication. So unfortunately,
I understand.
You know, and they probably, I don't know, they probably aren't familiar. Maybe they are, some of them, using it with the DMSO. So it's kind of one of those things that, you know, maybe just start small, maybe taking it at an opposite time as any medications. You know, if he's going to continue doing it, he might want to just take it at an opposite time.
Okay, and just start out real slow.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ann.
You're welcome. And then also Bob is doing chelation to get rid of mercury. What mineral or vitamin supplement would you recommend? So this clear multi-mins that I have up here, an image of, it's a great multi-mineral that we use all the time. So he can certainly consume that. I think the dose is 4 capsules per day. So he could, you know, take 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. All right, so Bob had 2 neurosurgeon appointments. They both said the tumor had grown considerably, but they could still operate on Bob. Chemo and radiation then. Most people don't have complications, but some have a seizure, bleeding, etc. during surgery or post-op, typically 72 hours post-operative. Mary and I were on speaker for this appointment and we all cried. It's such a super difficult decision. Bob is thinking he doesn't want to have surgery. I don't know what to do. I think I would have the surgery. Sounds like Bob's cognition would be the same or better. They could remove a lot of the tumor. I was thinking that you said Connors has a lot of GBM patients that choose surgery, then follow up using Rife. Is this right? So yes, we have glioblastoma patients. I wouldn't say that we have a lot of them. You know, it's not one of the cancers that we have a lot of patients, but certainly over the years, we have seen a lot of brain tumor patients, not all with glioblastoma, but yes, brain cancer patients. And some of them have chosen surgery. And obviously with working with us, they're using the Rife therapy. And we do have patients who have had the surgery to remove the tumor and are now using Rife and are doing well. Brain cancer is just so tricky because, you know, obviously in the brain, there's not a lot of space. So when a tumor is growing, it can affect so many different vital functions. So yeah, so with surgery, it's a tough one. And I guess the number one thing that I would say is that Bob would have to be on board. If he's thinking he doesn't want to have the surgery, then obviously, you know, you have to respect his decision, but certainly weighing through pros and cons, just like every big decision that people have to make, you know, weighing the pros and cons. So you want, whether it's making a list, okay, if I have the surgery, you know, assuming everything goes well, you know, these are the things that I would stand to gain. What are the negatives of having surgery? Same scenario, everything has gone well. What's the negative of that? List that out. You know, what are the cons, any cons? So if you don't have the surgery, what are other options, you know? And again, when it's something that is more of an acute situation where, you know, with the brain, if there's a vital function that's being impaired, you know, okay, that's a big con. So you have to look at that. You know, if it's something else, if it's, you know, broken arm, you know, or something, you know, there are times when we need to have surgery. So kind of going through that list of pros and cons, you know, and certainly your doctor who will be performing the surgery, obviously, you know, you want to trust your doctor, know that they have, you know, they're taking into consideration all of your concerns and they've put your concerns at ease. Ultimately, you have to have peace with this decision, and certainly praying, looking to God for guidance. You know, no doctor has all of the answers. No alternative practitioner has all of the answers. So you need to look to God and you need to have peace with the decision. You know, and then something else that might work, I don't know, but, you know, I just keep, you know, I was sitting here trying to think of things to help with this because I know it is such a big decision and unfortunately we can't tell you yes or no. Dr. Connors has created a lot of videos because this is one of the most common questions, whether it's surgery, whether it's chemo, whether it's radiation, you know, all of these things people rightfully want guidance from all you know, practitioners, from the medical side, from the alternative side. And so it's gathering the information that helps a person make a decision. So, you know, we want to be an information source for people, but ultimately the decision has to lie with the person, with the family members, and you know, with turning to God and having peace with the decision. So, you know, owning a decision for a few days, you know, just kind of make a decision. All right, I'm going to just decide for the next 2 days that I'm going to have this surgery. How do you feel? Do you feel okay? Do you feel at peace? Do you feel stress coming down? You know, okay. And then for the next 2 days, maybe make the decision that you're not going to have surgery and own that decision. How do you feel then? You know, does anxiety creep back up? I don't know. So weigh that with owning that decision. So weigh both decisions and, you know, maybe that will help help you come to the conclusion. And then, like I said, at the end of the day, you have to have peace with peace with your decision. Once you've made your decision, you gotta just, think positive about it. Don't be led by fear, all of those things. So I hope that helps. And it is a tough one.
That helps a lot, Ann. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, he's pretty much decided that it's a big no.
Okay.
Yeah, we prayed about it, talked about it a lot.
Okay.
He said he decided that way back in the beginning, and he's not going to change his mind now.
Okay. Well, and then, it's just going full steam ahead with that decision and, keeping up with the Rife. And I know you guys are so good at doing all of, supplements and retesting and the Rife and all of these things. So just keep up with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then I know your hubby is one of those patients, right? Yes. So I don't know if people on this call know or not, but my husband did have brain cancer. So this was 10 years ago, diagnosis of brain cancer. He did have surgery. He did do chemo. He did do radiation. And he also is using the Rife machine, has been. So at the time that my husband was diagnosed, we really knew nothing about alternative care. And that really was the point at which I began investigating and learning and researching and realizing that there was more than one option. And then when I started working here, of course, we started implementing all of the things that we do here in the Rife machine. And so he has been doing very well, no recurrence. And it's, like I said, been 10 years. So we thank God for that. And okay, so yes, so could we talk about this? So yeah, I told you that that would be one of the good topics for the Zoom call. And really this goes for every one of these big decisions. I got an email this morning from another patient asking about radiation. They had a consultation at, another conventional clinic for just some guidance. And their only option that they provided was radiation. And there is kind of an acute situation going. There's some bleeding from the tumor and hemoglobin is low, multiple transfusions, so they can't keep hemoglobin elevated. So yeah, another big decision, and radiation was the solution that was offered to help with that. So kind of same lines of thought here. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so this was an email and then I responded, and she's confused because she's asking about the cause. So the cause of her cancer was coming up as biotoxin candida. And so I was kind of walking her through the cause and how we do our testing. And she's saying she still doesn't really understand this biotoxin candida as a why, and says maybe Dr. Connors can provide more information. Certainly, Dr. Connors maybe could go over this in his Zoom call next week. But when we're talking about why and the cause, and we're asking about testing and wanting to know our test results, the testing from the cheek swab is asking the question why, or the reasons why a cancer may have developed. And so that is, a major part of what we're doing here is we're trying to get to the cause. And many things can come up. Certainly a biotoxin is something living, a toxin that is living. So it could be a virus, it could be a bacteria, candida, fungal component, could be parasites. So all of these are things that can enter into a cell and cause disruption in replication, can cause, errors. So these are the things that can cause cancer. There's also toxins. So a toxin is something that is not living. So a heavy metal, a chemical, things like that. So these are all reasons why cancer can develop. And so hers in testing was coming up as a biotoxin. So when we're going through our testing, we're looking to see, okay, is this something, you know, with what's going on in the body? Do we need to address structure? Do we need to address chemistry? Do we need to address emotions? Do we need to, what areas do we need to address? And then we go deeper. Okay, most of the time for our patients, it's coming up as a chemical imbalance. So what is it? Is it a biotoxin? Is it a toxin? And that's how we're kind of getting our cues as to what we need to address. So with Candida coming up as a cause, that means that at some point, according to our testing, the reason why cancer developed in the first place could have been due to a Candida infection or a Candida overgrowth. Doesn't necessarily mean that this person is currently struggling with that, but at the time of the cause, that is that frequency that is coming up. So we do have to remember our testing is based on energy and frequency. And so again, it's not necessarily, you know, Candida, but it is the frequency of Candida. So that's what we are trying to address as the cause. And the balancer is the key thing. So whatever comes up in testing as cause, the balancer is the key thing that is going to help with that. So this person was recommended Candicid Forte to address Candida. So we're helping to just kind of you know, address this component of the reason why this has happened. Like I said, it's not necessarily something that, you know, maybe is still going on, but something that the body is needing to address. So it is confusing and it is kind of a gray area, but it works in layers. And so the things that are coming up as cause, we're addressing. In subsequent testing, we might need to address something else. You know, if we're working on kind of that first layer, and then in follow-up testing, oh, okay, now the body has worked on that. We've resolved that. We've addressed that. Is there anything else the body needs to work on right now? If there's not, that's great. Most of the time, there are things that our body needs to work on. So that's the cause component. The cancer balancing component is kind of the next piece to the puzzle of this testing that we're doing. So we're working to see for you as an individual, what cancer balancers will help you. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things if you do a Google research on natural supplements that, you know, can help fight cancer. But that doesn't mean that all of those things are going to be great for an individual to take. So there can be two people with the exact same diagnosis that have different things that will help fight their cancer. So that is the value of doing this testing. What is going to be helpful for you as an individual? So that's where we come up with the cancer balancing protocols. So some of these things might be, you know, really touted as great natural cancer fighting things. Dr. Connors may have talked about them in his book. Other things might not, you know, might be a certain nutrient. It might be a mineral. So it might be something that you wouldn't necessarily think, oh, that's a cancer fighter. But in addressing the body and giving the body these things coming up as a cancer fighter, you know, a cancer balancer, you're helping to optimize the function of the body as a whole so the body can fight the cancer. So hopefully this helps people understand the testing and kind of the way that we do the testing, what we're looking for. We're also testing for foods in specific relation to cancer. So we want to see what foods could be potentially driving or fueling the growth of the cancer and eliminate those foods. And it might just be a couple things that come up as your main cancer driving fuel sources. So we certainly want to eliminate those, but there might be other things that we've indicated in your binder that we want you to minimize or limit. You know, maybe gluten didn't come up as a cancer driver, but we know that gluten can be inflammatory. So we do want you to avoid gluten for inflammatory reasons. So again, the whole goal is to get the body working to the best of its ability, you know, and specifically looking at this testing from a cancer perspective, giving you a protocol for supplements and diet based on cancer specifically and you as an individual. So hopefully that kind of helps helps this person, you know, understand a little better how this could come up, and why this is kind of the way that we're tackling this at the time being. Another question came in regarding gut issues, pain, bloating, tight feeling, lack of appetite. And this is another common one that we get. So you have to ask yourself or kind of go through a list of questions as to, okay, what might be causing this? Is it an issue with digestion? How do you feel after you eat? Is it an issue with constipation? So are you eliminating every day, at least once a day, 2 times a day? So we want to make sure you're not constipated. Is it related to stress? When we are in a state of elevated stress, digestion is not the first priority. Dealing with the stress is the priority. So working to calm the nervous system, taking a walk, doing some of those things that are listed in the binder, the vagus nerve exercises, are all things to help reduce stress. Yoga, listening to music. Everybody has something different that, helps to kind of calm their nervous system. So stress can be a big reason why digestion is not happening, or constipation, or maybe diarrhea. And so we want to address stress. Could it be supplements? Well, certainly, there are sensitivities. It could be supplements. Maybe you've just started on some of the supplements that we've recommended, and you might be having a reaction to that. So stopping supplements for a little while, starting them slowly. If we've recommended 4 capsules per day, maybe only taking 1 and seeing how your body reacts. So kind of working from that perspective. Could pain in the abdominal area or gut issues be related to cancer? Well, certainly. And of course, depending on where your cancer is located, it could be more of a correlation than others. So this person who submitted this question actually does have stomach cancer. And so, yeah, so then the fear is, okay, is this the cancer? Which very well, could be. Is it due to chemo? Is it due to radiation? So some of these other things that you're doing, or a prescription medication that you're taking, have you looked at the side effects of the prescription medication that you're taking? Because a lot of times gut issues could be related to that. And we do also have to remember that we can get sick and from things that are not related to cancer. And so sometimes we just don't feel well because maybe we did catch a virus, or maybe something's going around. So looking at all of these components, kind of ruling things out, and then, kind of assessing, okay, if you do think it's digestion, well, obviously there's things that we can do to help with digestion. Are you chewing your food thoroughly? We need to make sure that, we're creating enough saliva to help break down the foods and nutrients. Is there enough acid in your stomach? Is the, do we have enough gallbladder secretions, pancreatic secretions? So all of these things help with digestion. So sometimes we might need a digestive enzyme. And then doing some testing too. So if we've kind of ruled all these things out, doing some testing to see, okay, I've ruled all these things out, I'm still having all these issues. Okay, so is it really, having a scan, doing some blood work, all of these things to help identify truly what's going on and then addressing it from there. So hopefully that helps. When I select 2 or more Rife programs to run back to back, how do I know which order the programs will run in? For example, I may select a cold sore program to run with my overnight program, and therefore want to start out with the bulb at my face, then move it to my torso if the cold sore program is running first. Do they run in alphabetical order when you select more than one? So many, maybe most of you don't even know that you can stack programs. So that's what this person is referring to, stacking programs. So you can run on the Rife machine up to 3 different programs back to back. You can do this by holding down the command button and selecting 3 different programs. They have to, you can't go from one file to another file to select the different programs. They have to kind of be open on the same page. You can certainly scroll through the list of alphabetical general programs that are in the software and scroll through those and select different ones, but you can't go from your overnight folder to, you know, a general one that you want to run. You could drag that general one into your folder so you have access to it to run it back to back. So what she's doing is she's holding down the command button and she's selecting up to 3 different programs that she wants to run back to back. And when you do that, it will, they will run in the order that you select them. So if you want the cold sore program to run first, maybe it's only a 15-minute program, I'm not sure off the top of my head, select that one first, and then you would select the overnight program. And then you can hold the bulb closer to your face for that cold sore program for that 15 minutes. And then you can, you know, move the bulb and go to sleep. So that's a good question. An idea for the store. It would be really helpful to have my protocol handy online, maybe either in a pop-up where I could click an item to see it in the store and then add it to my cart, or with an option to click one button and put my entire protocol into the cart. And then I can tweak my order from there. That's a great idea. And I don't know if that is an option, but I certainly can pass it on. I do know that you can go into your order history on Shopify and see your order history, but maybe you're not on a schedule where you're ordering your complete protocol, you know, kind of all at the same time. So that might be a little harder, but in your order history, you would at least be able to just click on things that you've ordered in the past and add it to your cart. But certainly I can see if there is a way to have a protocol loaded for each customer or patient and see if it's easy to do that. I have no idea, but that would be a nice feature. Okay, so it looks like I've got a couple chats that came in or questions. Recent labs show super low iron transferrin saturation and low iron binding capacity, but high ferritin. Could this be from the supplements from the cancer? From not regularly taking the Armour thyroid, that's a prescription medication, or from something else. Need to know how to fix this because it's creating an overwhelming energy crisis. So Dr. Connors is typically the one that goes over labs because I am not completely trained. I know a little bit about labs, but not enough to really go into detail. Obviously, with high ferritin, that's, you know, an inflammatory marker. We don't want high ferritin. I do know that high ferritin can be a result of inflammation. And so certainly we want to address that, get that under control. Could be, yes, it could be. My understanding is it could be a result of the cancer, depending on exactly, you know, what you have going on. So we know that cancer can cause low iron anemia because iron can be a fuel source for cancer. So we want to be careful of that. We typically do not, you know, recommend an iron supplement. If you come to us with iron in your supplements, we typically are asking you to stop those, you know, for that exact reason that iron can fuel cancer. We do have an iron artemisinin protocol that if you really do need iron because you have low iron, low hemoglobin, we have the iron artemisinin protocol where you're taking an iron capsule and then about an hour later you're taking artemisinin. Artemisinin likes to tag along with iron. And so the goal there is to have that cancer fighting element in the artemisinin to help attack the cancer if the cancer is gobbling up that iron that we're giving in the supplement form. The goal, of course, is to have the healthy cells get the iron and, you know, not the cancer. But that is, you know, it doesn't always work, but it's an option. Some patients will go in for an iron blood transfusion And that, from my understanding of what Dr. Connors has said, that does not process the same way or fuel cancer in the same way. If you're getting an iron blood transfusion, it doesn't fuel cancer in the same way that maybe taking an iron supplement would. So, you know, if your hemoglobin is really low, then you might need to have that transfusion. But high ferritin could just be from inflammation. And so, yes, we certainly need to work to reduce inflammation and do some of those things. Maybe you need to send in a cheek swab and we can do some testing to see what specifically would be helpful to help with inflammation. Are there any remedies in the store that can tackle a UTI? Or if I'm forced to take antibiotics, will anything need to be different from the protocol, the supplements? So yes, we do have many natural supplements in the store for UTI. So you can just do a search on the store for UTI or bladder infection, and a number of options will come up. There's lots of herbs that can be really helpful for that. So you'll just have to look through those options and see which one you would want to take. So you can definitely take that. Also, you can run the bladder infection program on the Rife machine. I would do that. And so from a natural perspective, yeah, really hit the Rife machine hard and take some supplements. And then if you do end up having to take an antibiotic, then the only thing that we would switch is if you're currently taking a probiotic, we would do that at the opposite time that you take your antibiotics. And, you know, we may need to do some additional gut support things to help kind of repopulate the microbiome. Let's see here. Is the iron artemisinin or the artemisinin available in the store? Yes. The artemisinin is available in the store. How would we get the protocol? You can email your liaison and ask for the iron artemisinin protocol, and she can send it to you, or I can send it to you if I'm your liaison. Okay, already running the UTI and kidney infection programs. So that's great. Keep running those. Make sure you're staying hydrated to flush the infection. And definitely add the supplements to the protocol. I know there's something called Uva Ursi that is from Premier Research. That is one of the supplements that we offer. We have a private label, a Connors Clinic option for bladder infection as well. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but yeah, just do a search in the store for UTI or bladder infection and options will come up. And there's no right or wrong, you know, you can just read the description in there and just choose which one looks best for you. Any other questions? That is all that I have in the chat box. And I promise the flow with this will get better. Of course, I've done hundreds and hundreds of Zoom calls, but I've never done group Zoom calls. So, you know, the functionality of Zoom I'll get more familiar with as far as the chats and as far as muting and unmuting and, you know, video, screen share, all of that. So, all right, then the last slide I have up here is just the reminder to log on and frequently visit the patient membership site. You can save www.members.connorsclinic.com. You can save that to your favorites so you can very easily find it. I know a couple of patients have emailed me to say that they've created their username and password. They've been able to log on, but then they can't find where to go. So members.connorsclinic.com. So you can save that. And again, visit there frequently. We are updating things. The Zoom calls are all posted there. And this, of course, is where we want you to submit your Zoom questions just so we don't miss them. So if we're getting Zoom questions on the general Conners Clinic email and the liaisons are getting them individually and we're getting them through this form, it's just a lot of places to look for the Zoom questions, and then we can easily miss one. So if you're just submitting the Zoom questions through the membership site, you know, it all goes in one place, and then it's just easier for us to copy and paste those so we can make sure we don't miss any of them. And then we are going to be working on updating the binder. So we're going to be getting some, you know, new binder pages up here. I think Dr. Conners mentioned last week that there's a new genetic page up on the membership site. So certainly check that out. If you have not had a Zoom call yet and your liaison has notified you that your report is back and ready, then you can jump onto the Thursday genetic review Zoom call, and I'll be walking through the full genetic report and kind of going through that. You should get from your liaison your specific recommendations. So when I'm walking through the a genetic report on Thursday, you know, obviously it's not going to be yours as an individual, but you'll be able to see and understand the flow and what these genes are and why they're important. Your liaison will have emailed you your specific important genetic variants with your specific action steps or things that they want you to implement based on that. So refer to that while you're looking at your report. Another question maybe came in here. We never met with the liaison for the RIFE training or the initial binder review. Is it just a generic walkthrough or specific to protocol? So if we're doing it in a group setting, like, you know, through this Zoom call, it is more general. You can ask questions. So if you have specific questions, you certainly can ask those on that call, but we'll be walking through, you know, front to back the binder and, you know, going through it, which does address many questions that patients have and, you know, clarifies a lot of things, specific protocol, you know, your specific supplements. You know, we won't be addressing those individually. So if you're wanting to know, oh, what does this supplement do? You know, you can look that up on the web store and see what that specific supplement does. But we will kind of walk through the things that I walked through earlier in this call, just with testing. So how to, you know, understand your testing and what was coming up. So we'll be walking through it in a more general way. But if you do have a specific question, you can chat it in. Or, you know, you could maybe submit it ahead of time and we can make sure that that is addressed. Same with the RIFE training. We'll be going through setup, you know, and maybe patients already have it set up, but they just have a couple specific questions. That's fine. Yes, ask those on that Zoom call. Everyone can benefit from the RIFE training questions. Not sure what it was told to set the appointments, but have been too sick to participate. So I'm sorry to hear that. Yes, it's hard when you're not feeling well to schedule appointments. But yeah, if you'd rather just log into the Zoom call, I'll click this screen up here again so we can see again. So if you'd rather just log into the Zoom call and, you know, just listen. If you're kind of sick and it's hard to talk and ask questions, maybe you don't even know what questions you have because you've been sick. Yeah, just log into a binder review or a RIFE training session and most likely a lot of questions will be answered. So. Which Zoom logins are all of those? So these will be posted. Just email us until this one that we're on now, the Monday Q&A and Dr. Conners Wednesday call, those are are posted on the membership site. So the Zoom link and the meeting ID, those are posted on the membership site. So refer to that to get information about those. We don't have the binder review, the RIFE training, or the genetic review, as far as I know, set up on the membership page. So just email us if you need to get that specific link because you want to log on this week, and we can get that to you. All right, everyone, I think that's it. That kind of brings us through the chat questions and my questions, or the questions that came in. So, and again, if you guys have a different format you would prefer, if you have a topic you'd like me to discuss, just give me feedback. Let me know what you guys want. I really want this Monday Zoom call to be about you guys and an opportunity for you guys to have a better experience, the best experience possible with Connor's clinic, get your questions answered, help you to feel connected with the clinic, you know, a different, not necessarily perspective, but, you know, sometimes it's good to, you know, you talk to Dr. Connors on Wednesday, and so sometimes it's good to just have another voice, another thought process. And so anyways, now I'm just rambling. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see some of you next Monday on the next Zoom call with me. All right, you guys, take care. Bye-bye.